show to do, the easy one, I'm not into easy, is Sam Darnold stinks. No, he doesn't. He's closer to Baker Mayfield than Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't stink. You don't do what he did this year and stink. If you look at the stats last night, first downs, Rams had fewer than Minnesota. Passing first downs, Minnesota. Third down efficiency, Vikings way better. Total plays, rushing penalties, Vikings only had 2. Rams had actually 10. Time of possession, Vikings. What I watched was a coaching clinic. Brian Flores, who's really good, got worked. The Rams' first drive was 7 plays, 70 yards, touchdown. As Greg Cosell noted, the Rams' D-line was going to be a problem for the Vikings' O-line. Kevin O'Connell going forward at midfield, minute 30 left in the first half, I thought felt desperate. This game was over at half. It was 24-3. You could argue it was over midway through the second quarter, all on coaching. The Rams put on a clinic. Brian Flores is great. First play of the game, 25 yards. They're already in field goal position to Puka Nacua. The common theme this weekend is young quarterbacks that fell behind lost. You know, Justin Herbert lost, and Sam Darnold lost, and Jordan Love lost, and the only one that won was Jaden Daniels, and he needed a doink. What I watched last night, McVay proving once again, since Sean McVay arrived in Los Angeles, only the Kansas City Chiefs have more playoff wins. And he did it with a run team with Todd Gurley, a run scheme. And then he did it with Cooper Kupp. And now he's doing it with an older Matt Stafford and Puka Nacua, and he's actually doing it with defense. This Rams defense, the rookies the Rams have lead the NFL in rookie sacks, rookie fumble recoveries, rookie pressures. The Rams do not miss on defensive draft picks. They've missed on a couple offensive draft picks. But take Andy Reid out. If you're talking leadership, game management, play design, culture building, it is almost unfair what the Rams have in Sean McVay. I mean, Phil Jackson's an all-time coach, but Phil Jackson was very clear. I coach superstars. You guys do the rebuilds. McVay can do rebuilds. He can do young stars. He can build a defense. He can go run first. He can go pass happy. It doesn't matter. You give him an off season, he'll rebuild the team. He'll rebuild the scheme. Remember a couple years ago, he went to Seattle for the opener in a rebuild year? Pete Carroll didn't know what he was watching. I mean, they literally came in with a completely different schemed run game.
Yeah. I think, obviously, Sean McVay is brilliant. And he's obviously easily one of the best coaches and is a truly, truly special coach. And you know, you need to find a special coach. You need to find a special coach. It's like Sean McVay is who that is. I see Sean McVay as essentially Andy Reid with the Philadelphia Eagles, even, except he got his quarterback. He got his Matthew Stafford, whereas McNabb had to kind of deal with, you know, essentially the version of Goff for his entire, you know, the bulk of his career in Philadelphia. And so getting Stafford, getting this other elite quarterback to pair you with your elite young coach, it just sets you up for success. I mean, the fact that they were able to kind of overcome all of the adversity that they had early on in the season with injuries, and then of course everything that's going on in California, I mean, it's amazing. It's absolutely remarkable. And Colin got a lot of heat, myself included, when we talked about saying that the Rams will be good this year, and people were like, oh my god, you know, what are you talking about? The Rams aren't going to be good. They're going to be trash. And then they got injured, and it was like, see, they're trash. Ha, 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 ha. And it was like, yeah, you know, they're decimated with injuries, and, you know, there wasn't much more to talk about that. And then when you kind of get wind, okay, you know, it seems like these players are going to be coming back, and you look at the schedule and you say, hey, you know, like, it seems like they still have some time to go. You know, they can maybe right this ship. And I think for like one game they did, or in the beginning they weren't able to. And it was just like, I was like, oh, you know, man, I thought they were going to be better quicker. And then I kind of thought about it more, and it was like, well, you know what? Like, these guys haven't played for a while. They got to, like, you know, shake off some rust. It's going to take a second or two to kind of get them back in the swing of things. Then they started playing really well, and it was like, see, this is exactly what I thought they were going to do. This is what I thought. And I kept saying throughout this whole season, they are the toughest team to evaluate because of all their injuries. So they had a lot of games that you can't really use as reference points into the quality of their play. And then though they played poorly the last few games, like that's just a fact that they did not play high level football. And you're like, all right, they're not playing high level football. So it's like, I don't know what to make of this. I believe that they were going to be good going into this season. Then they get decimated with injuries. And so now you're just kind of like, well, hey, that's just an excuse. That's what happens. What are you going to do about it? Then they get everyone back. It takes them a second to like start playing great. They play great. Then they, at the end of the season, they don't play so great. And you're just like, I don't know what, like, who is this team? And that's why like a game against the 49ers, perfect example. Like, I don't care that it was like the weather was a little rainy or something and it's a divisional game. Like, that was just a fundamentally ugly game. And that was like, what was the score? It was like 9-6 until that field goal. I mean, like, it was just like a bizarrely ugly game. Matthew Stafford almost threw like 9 interceptions in the first quarter. I mean, like, it was just a bizarrely ugly game. And again, the last few games, like, it's not like Stafford was elite or special. And then that kind of made me to start saying things like, I really do think Stafford is elite and special, but I don't know if he can consistently be elite and special at this age right now. He's an older quarterback, and older quarterbacks are always very difficult to evaluate because one minute they can still be special and be great, and the next minute they look like they're 74 years old, and it's like, you need to hang it up. And it's just like, it's just the way the body works sometimes. But obviously they were able to be great. And again, it's not even like Matthew Stafford here was so special in this game. Like, as Colin highlighted, they were 2 for 10 on third down, 10 penalties. He was 19 for 27, 209 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 117 rating. What Stafford did that was great was that they took care of the ball. They were conservative. They were smart. It was all high-level coaching. That opening drive was like, uh-oh. If you're a Vikings fan and you're watching the game, you're like, uh-oh. I mean, these guys were wide open. That's coaching. I mean, like, it was just like, I could have made those throws in that game. I could have marched the team down to score a touchdown. I mean, it was just so easy. And that's what the Rams made do. When a team makes it look easy, that's coaching, that's game plan. Or you're playing just a really bad team. I don't think the Vikings are a really bad team. I don't think Brian Flores is a really bad defensive coordinator. This was just a masterclass on McVay. And the fact that this team was so ready, they were so fired up, they were so connected. And this is why, and I'm going to use it. I should have used this I couldn't have because when I made the video, but if there's another Philadelphia Eagles video, it's like, this is why I call out like someone like an A.J. Brown and even a Jalen Hurts, because you can see that they don't have that connection on the sideline. And whereas, like, you could see the Rams here, like, they were fired up. They were all connected. There's so much synergy there. And a lot of that is McVay. That's culture building. That's getting everybody ready for this game. The Vikings were not ready for this game. The Eagles, they ended up winning last week, but, like, they did not seem to me to be ready for that game. There was no energy. The Packers were not ready for the game. The Bills, they won too, but like, they did not come out like with their hair on fire. The Rams did. And the defense, again, this was another coaching clinic. The defense just got after it. They just took advantage. They made Sam Darnold uncomfortable all night. The pressures that they were just swarming him. They were absolutely swarming him, and the Minnesota Vikings had zero answers for it. Really did. I mean, it was just the defense played hard and physical and fast. It was awesome. I mean, it really was. I'm just looking at my notes here. And again, credit to the Rams. I think going up against Philly is going to be a fascinating matchup. I see this game right and we'll talk about it in future videos, but because I live streamed this and I kind of said this in the live stream, so I'll just repeat it here as well. I see this game going a few different ways. I see the Eagles either winning this game. I don't want to say easily, but like in a very similar fashion to how it was against them last, in their first game, like kind of like a similar style of a game where it's just like Stafford just can't get that offense going. It just, things are a little bit muddled and they can't get it going. Or the Eagles lay an egg and the Rams dominate, like a similar game to this. Like, it's just like the Eagles just have no answers. It's you have A.J. Brown on the sideline, all unhappy, just staring off into the sunset. And it's just like, and the bottom line says, 1 target, 3 yards or something, and it's just like, and they're like, well, A.J.'s certainly not happy about this one. And, the Rams defense just did such a good job of containing Jalen Hurts and neutralizing Saquon Barkley. Like, I mean, I could see that unfolding as well. So right now it's like those are my two scenarios. It's like the Eagles kind of win in a pretty convincing, not necessarily dominant manner, but pretty convincing manner where they just are clearly in control of the game, or it's just like the Rams kind of, you know, steamroll them in a way. And because I think even that first game that they played each other, one, I think the Rams team is better right now, but I also think that the Eagles are better right now. But there are a couple injuries for both of these teams right now that it's hard for me to always know how injuries are going to affect a team moving forward. I just think that's incredibly impossible to predict. But the one thing about that Rams game is that there was a couple missed opportunities for the Rams versus the Eagles, that it's like if they come down with those plays, there was a couple of plays that like Puka Nacua, it was going to be tough catches, but like catches that he could definitely make, and that if he comes down with them, it changes that game completely. It changes everything. I think it was like a fourth down, red zone, play, and it was just like if the Rams come down with that, it's just like now the score is either a one-score game or it's tied, or now the Rams take the lead. Like it just changes how that game unfolds. And I'm a big proponent of kind of always taking mental notes of those moments throughout a game, especially if it's a moment where I think to myself, okay, does Stafford make that throw 99% of the time, 8 out of 10 times, 7 out of 10 times? Does Puka Nacua make that come down with that catch 7 out of 10 times, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 times? And if the answer is yes, then in my mind I'm like, okay, well then how would have this game unfolded if we saw the version of this game where it actually was successful, where they did convert that down, they did catch that touchdown? What's the score? What's happening? How does this all unfold? And I kind of say like, okay, well then that's clearly a possible trajectory for the Rams. Like clearly there was a path to victory. Yeah, it didn't work out for them in that moment in that game, but it doesn't mean it's just like, well, yeah, they're not good enough, they can't win. So this rematch for the Rams versus the Eagles is going to be fascinating. On the road is going to be tough. It should be pretty cold. The weather shouldn't be, the most forgiving. It should probably be low 30. I mean, I got to see what time the game is at, but it's going to be East Coast. It's definitely cold right now, mid-January, and so that'll be a real thing about Stafford. He is an older player. Older players in the cold, like those are real things that you actually do legitimately have to consider. And it's not to say that I'm going to act like Sam Darnold or Matthew Stafford's going to come out there in a wheelchair here, but like those are just kind of considerations. But to be fair, I got to look at the weather to see actually what it's gonna look like. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford's win on the defense? Not just them too, but really just the whole Rams performance against the Vikings. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.